Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob Ent podcast, the best sports podcast in New Jersey. We got the big three tonight. Greg, Miles, how y'all fellas doing?
Doing good.
Good, bro. I'm good.
Hey, if you're watching this right now on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you watch this on the follow back, hit the subscribe button, share it. And if you end up listening to this on any streaming platform, rate us 5 stars, leave a review, greatly appreciate it. Jam-packed episode for y'all, back from Thanksgiving, so we got a lot to talk about. We got football to talk about, coaches on the hot seat, in-season tournament. But we're going to start off. Frank Reich was relieved of his duties after a 1-10 start. Bryce Young not looking good. Looking at the rest of the league, there's already been reports that they saying anywhere from 6 to 7 coaches might be out of a job. Who are y'all seeing on the hot seat right now in NFL?
Blank. Do you guys hear that? Am I bugging?
No, I hear it too.
Oh, okay. I'm making sure. Okay, I know we're live and everything, but it ain't like nobody in the chat, so I'm just asking right now.
Yeah,
you hear it?
I don't hear no more.
You don't hear no more? No, it's not anymore. Okay. Yeah, Arthur Blank in Atlanta is obviously a hot name that I've been hearing out there who's looking like he's gonna get fired. The misuse of his best players has been the topic of discussion over there. And plus, when you're starting Desmond Ridder, let's just be real, you're likely to get fired. Okay, you're not gonna keep your job. Desmond Ridder, Heineke, you're in a tough spot as a coach. But I don't blame that. I think it's poor scheme, and I think they actually had a really good defense, got off to a good start. But again, when you're over there making mistakes, like not getting Bijan the ball, not getting Drake London the ball in obvious situations, using those guys as decoys on obvious situations where you should be getting the football and outthinking yourself, you're gonna get fired. So he's one name that came to mind for sure. And then obviously there's Ron Rivera over in Washington, who, let's be real, he's out of there. He's out of there. Everyone is. And Bieniemy, I mean, this story about him chasing the job, and it's really a don't hire because he's black situation. Now it's a don't hire because he's whack situation. He's not getting the job anytime soon. It looks like, and I feel like we're in a situation where that whole staff will get released, and he's going to end up trying to go get an OC job somewhere else, and we'll see if he can bounce back and land somewhere on his feet. Maybe Andy Reid gives him a second chance. Who knows? But those are two coaches that come to mind immediately that are on the hot seat, that are obvious candidates. I'm not sure. I'm sure I'm missing other people, but those two are definitely obvious ones.
Miles, before you go, to your point, Ron Rivera, I wanted to point this out. A lot of people don't know this. He only actually has 3 winning seasons. 2013, 12-4, 2015, 15-1, 11-5 in 2017. Outside of that, he has multiple 6-win and 7-win seasons.
I mean, yeah, I think he's one of the guys who's most likely to go. That whole regime, they just got brought in with a new set of owners, so they're gonna want to make a splash. Bring in their quarterback probably, because who knows? Sam Howell could be the guy, but right now it looks like he's just the guy for now. The coach for the Bears too, because that whole thing I think is coming to a head right now, and the GM Ryan Poles, he's got to make a decision at the end of the year. They're probably going to have the number 1 pick. Do you take Caleb Williams? Do you build around Justin Fields? But I think they know that Eberflus he's probably not the coach for them. And I mean, it's good because they get to lose right now, even though they did win that nasty Monday night game against Minnesota. But yeah, I don't know if there's that many like head coaching jobs up for grabs right now. I mean, even with the Jets, I think Salah's going to get 1 more year. I mean, it was tough. It was one of those years where we had high hopes that, Aaron Rodgers was going to be here and do his thing. He's going to come back in a couple weeks. But at this point, it doesn't really matter because he missed most of the year. So they're going to want to see what Aaron Rodgers does next year. And if it blows up in their face, then we're going to be looking for a new coach, new GM probably going into 2025. So, yeah.
Do y'all think the Bills, Mr. McDermott, should be on the hot seat? They are now 6-6. Is he on the hot seat? And has the Bills championship window closed?
I don't think the championship window's closed. I think that if you have an elite quarterback in the NFL like Josh Allen, you have a chance every single year. So I think that they have an opportunity to compete for championships for a while. As long as he's in his prime, you have a chance, and he's not injured. But I think the window's gotten smaller. Von Miller, the trade they made for him, isn't looking great. He's not the same explosive athlete. He's aged. Matt Milano is out obviously, and with a serious injury, and hopefully he can come back. He can come back next year and be the same player he was this year. He was great, best linebacker in football. But when it comes to McDermott, they've made a lot of mistakes. Okay, like they didn't line up well on a field goal attempt and lost the game because of that. Just situational football errors that a team this elite shouldn't be making, and they keep making those kind of mistakes. So, yeah, I think there's concerns about a player like Matt, about a coach like Sean McDermott. I think if they don't make the playoffs this year, there's a chance he gets fired. That's the way I look at it. I think if they don't make the playoffs this year, there's a good chance he gets fired. There has to be a better candidate out there definitively that they can go hire that can help them win a championship. But I do think there's a window there where he could, because the offense has struggled. Hasn't always looked good this season, and the big stigma out there is that a defensive head coach doesn't run a team with a great offense. It just doesn't really work that way. You want to have an offensive great mind running your football team, right? Shanahan, and so forth. A lot of other, Andy Reid, so forth. So I just feel like there's a window there for it to happen, but it's all contingent on how these next few weeks go. They should make the playoffs, but if they don't, we could see that happen.
Looking at it, Bills, Cardinals, Patriots, all are teams that probably have coaches on the hot seat, maybe not. Patriots, Cardinals, they didn't have that many expectations. They are definitely going to be in that conversation for top draft picks. Obviously, Danny DeVito, sidebar, did not get the message that the Giants are trying to get a higher pick. He is out here trying to get wins. Jayden Daniels. Everybody, speaking of the draft, everybody talks about Caleb Williams. Everybody talks about Drake May. Jayden Daniels, 40 passing touchdowns, 3,182 yards, 4 interceptions with a 95.6 QBR, and 1,000 yards plus rushing. Where do you see Jayden Daniels in this draft? And are there any players that remind you of Jayden Daniels? Like, who does he remind you of?
Lamar? I don't know. I mean, he's special. Like, when he gets in the open fields, there's not many guys who are going to catch him out there. And he's a really good passer as is right now. He's probably going to win the Heisman, honestly, if we're being honest. So I think he fits well with most teams in the NFL right now. Like Giants, they should look at him because they're not going to get the top two guys. Falcons, definitely, because they're a quarterback away from possibly being something. Even the Jets, if they want to, prepare earlier than expected, or prepare for life after AR, then go ahead, grab your quarterback of the future. But yeah, he's a talented guy. He's a talented kid, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in the NFL. I just hope that he goes to a team that doesn't try to put too much on him right away. But that's the thing. These bad teams, that's kind of what you expect for a top 5 pick. You want to see them ASAP. Nobody's really sitting behind guys anymore, which is what most of these young guys need. Like Bryce Young probably should have sat this year, the way he's been playing. Same with Zach Wilson, same with many of the quarterbacks that have flamed out lately. They could have used time to learn instead of time to learn on the fly. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Jayden Daniels making that move this year.
I think he's definitely quarterback 3 in this class for sure. I think he's fighting with JJ McCarthy. He's obviously the more talented football player than JJ McCarthy. If JJ has a good showing in the national football playoff, then he has a chance to climb right and end up in the QB3 slot. But as far as, great, locations for him, I think of all the teams that are picking quarterbacks early in the draft, and I know I'm going to sound biased, I get it, but I mean, you got to think about it. The smoothest bridge transition that there is right now for any of these quarterbacks in this draft is with the Giants. They don't have to start you right away. They can start Daniel Jones, right? Or they can start whoever the backup is, and you can be QB3. And they can ease you into it. And I like that situation for a guy like Jayden Daniels. I like him with Brian Daboll getting the most out of Tommy DeVito, Jersey Juice, like getting the most out of that guy. I know you can get the most out of a guy who's so much more talented in Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels reminds me of a kind of like a crossover a little bit of Lamar and Hurts a little bit. I think I see both. I see Hurts in the sense that in the improvement he's made from going to ASU, ending up at LSU last year, and the jump in his game, right? Because he wasn't always this kind of passer, clearly, and he's burst onto the scene this year. And then Lamar and the ability to run, to extend plays, throw from different arm slots. He has great deep touch on the football. He's a much more advanced passer than Lamar was coming out of school. And certainly than Hurts was throwing bounce passes. Hurts was Magic Johnson in college.
You're crazy, bro. You're crazy.
So I mean, when you talk about the how advanced of a passer he is, he's miles ahead of both those guys. But and no pun intended. But he is a great passer of the football already at this point. I love the way he layers the football. I'm excited about him, and I hope he ends up being a Giant. He's a guy I really like, and you can't teach his ability to run and the electricity he plays with. It is only comparable. The only the comp for that is with Lamar. There's no other comp for that kind of ability that he has. But like him a lot. I think he's better than JJ McCarthy, but JJ kind of impressed me this weekend too. It's a different conversation, but I actually was impressed with him last weekend.
Speaking of that, right now he is ranked. Jayden Daniels is ranked as the number 40 prospect, and he is the third best quarterback above Bo Nix, Shedeur Sanders, and then they have JJ McCarthy on that list in regards to the quarterbacks coming out. Now Shedeur, as mentioned, probably isn't coming out, but they're obviously projecting if he does come out. You mentioned Lamar. You mentioned Jalen Hurts. Big game this week. Probably the game of the week. Probably really the only game that matters this week. 49ers, Eagles. You see both sides are talking spicy. They are ready for this game. How do y'all see this game panning out?
Eagles, they're hot. I think they get it done, obviously. They're the best team in football, and it's clear at this point. I'm kind of tight though. I was supposed to go to that game, but I have a concert I'm going to that night, so I had to give those tickets up. But I know for a fact that game is going to be probably the best game of the year. Although last week Eagles-Bills was pretty good in its own right. So, but there's been a lot of chirping since the offseason from Debo, from guys on the Eagles. So this is going to be one of those real heated matchups. Like, they're going to be like, all right, we didn't have Brock Purdy last year. We got him this year. Let's see if you can beat us. And then that's going to be the talk on all the talk shows on Monday. If they lose to the 49ers, they're going to be like, all right, are the 49ers the team to beat in the NFC? See? And that's how quickly things change. Every week something happens. Like if the Bills would have beat the Eagles, they would have been like, oh, is Josh Allen back? Are the Bills back? So everything flip-flops so quickly in the NFL, week to week. But Jalen Hurts, he's playing on another level right now. I've never seen – well, I don't want to say I've never seen it, but it's impressive to see a guy who just wills his team to win like that. And he's so poised out there, and regardless if they're down by 14, he's not worried. And, our co-host was talking about bounce passes, but I don't see no bounce passes now.
Hey, it's hard to pick against the Eagles. Miles made a very courageous choice picking the Eagles, as you can see. But I mean, I think the Eagles have gotten off to slow starts through all year, and they did it against the Bills too. And they played from behind against the Chiefs. And I just don't know if you can do that against the 49ers. I mean, you certainly can't rule the Eagles out. They can win any game. They're the most complete and best roster in football, and could get better. Adding that guy from the Colts, Leonard, but which is ridiculous. But I still think the 49ers have a good chance in this football game. I selfishly am rooting for them. Obviously, I know that's not what you asked me, but that's what I'm telling you. And I think there's a good opportunity here for that team to win that football game with that pass rush, with their defense being as complete as it is. I know they're missing their all-pro safety, Mufunga, I think his name is. He's out, but I think they have a good chance to compete and win the football game and exploit some of the things the Eagles haven't done well, which is just get off the slow starts, give up a lot of yards through the air. They haven't been great in terms of coverage really all season. So there's going to be some opportunities for a team that's that good schematically and that good overall, that talented, to take advantage of them and put points on the board. This game probably is going to be in San Fran, I'm imagining.
No, it's in Philly.
Of course, it's in Philly. Okay. Well,
I said I had tickets. I'm not flying to San Fran to see this game.
Of course not. But yeah, man. I mean, there's an opportunity here for this team to compete and to potentially win this game. I think 49ers have a great chance. I think it's a coin flip football game. Not a game I'd really want to bet on, but if I was going to bet, I'd pick the Niners just because I think that they're due to get one in this matchup, and I think they're surging at the right time as well. It is not indicative of what's going to happen in the playoffs. It's just a good football team coming in there, and it's going to be their best test yet. Plus, again, for selfish reasons, it'd be good for them to win. Not because I'm rooting against the Eagles, but you don't got to get into my reasoning. Yeah, I didn't come here for that.
Hey, now Ma said you had to give up the tickets because you had a concert. Who you gonna go see? Is it Jack Harlow or Larry June?
Well, I've already seen Larry June. I'm tight. I missed Jack before he blew up, so not Jack. I'm going to see Roy Woods. That's going to be a good one.
Roy Woods. Okay. That's tough. I can approve of Roy Woods. Jack Harlow would have been different.
I could approve.
It'll be Miles. If you went to go see Jack Harlow, it would have been Miles. If you did like a bird's eye view, it would have been like all white and then one black dot.
No, it's a lot. It's a mix of fans. All right, let's cool out.
Oh my God.
Now it's been a lot going on this year. Defensively wise, you got a bevy of options for DPOY this year. Myles Garrett, TJ Watt. You talking about Cowboys, Michael Parsons. You talking about my man with the interception record, but specifically the sack record, which is at 22.5, tied with Michael Strahan and TJ Watt. Do you think it gets broken this year? And if it does, who breaks it? TJ Watt has 13.5 right now at 11 games. Myles Garrett has 13. Khalil Mack got 13. Max Crosby and Michael Parsons has 11.5.
It's possible, but I think if anybody's going to break it, probably TJ Watt. I think that the way he gets off the edge is elite. Like Myles Garrett's having a great season. Brown's defense is phenomenal. But I just believe in, TJ Watt. He's different. Honestly, I thought he broke it 2 years ago, but they robbed him of that, giving him a half sack like that. So, no, they didn't even give him a sack. They took it away because something, technicality. They didn't want to give it to TJ. But, yeah, I think if he's going to break it, he's got to get hot because we've got, 6 weeks left, or they've got 6 more games left. So, yeah, I'm going TJ.
I think TJ Watt has a good chance to break the record. Obviously, I mean, I do you think there's an asterisk on the record if they break it with an extra game on the season is the thing I think about because I think people are going to bring that up. So I don't know if Waters are down. I don't look at it that way, but because TJ's having an amazing season. And I think that a guy like Michael Parsons, obviously, I don't know. He's slowed down, but has 11 sacks, right? Is it 11? It's crazy. Yeah, and he's slowed down. It's unbelievable. And I even think Daniil Hunter was in the mix for a while as a sack leader. And that's probably no longer the case. But I definitely think TJ Watt of all of them is the most likely guy to do it. The Steelers rely on their defense to win football games. That defense is, Lord knows, that defense is on the field way too much throughout any given game, defending for their lives because the offense can't get even a few yards. Right? I think they got their first 300-yard game last week of the season. Like that's insane. So.
Actually, the stat was that was their first 400-yard game
Okay.
in all of Matt Canada's time there. 58 games, they never had a 400-yard game as an offense. Not 400 yards passing, but 400 yards as a team, which happens regularly in the NFL now.
Everyone does it. That is I mean, the fact that they kept him there for that long, Mike Tomlin, you got to look at him in the mirror. You got to look himself in the mirror, and you got to just figure out what's going on. I mean, as a black coach, to enact the kind of level of white privilege is incredible. To keep that guy around, and I know the Steelers don't like to fire people and they don't like change, but that is really sad. And it's even worse because you lost so much time where you could have evaluated Kenny Pickett for what he really could be. It's hard to evaluate him in that scheme. But if you ask me, I don't think he's the guy. And I think that they're stuck in a perpetual cycle of mediocrity because they're too good to get a quarterback, not good enough to win a Super Bowl. So they're just good enough to get in every single year. And we praise him for going 9-7 and never having a losing record. But in football, I argue that the losing record is a necessity sometimes because that's the only way you can really reset. Unless you're as lucky as the Eagles are and you hit on a second-round pick and Jalen Hurts, and it just or the Cowboys, you hit on a fourth rounder and Dak or whatever he was. It doesn't or the Seattle right with Russell Wilson. There's not many examples of that. You really need to reset in the first round and have a bad season, and the Steelers are just unfortunately never in that situation. I can imagine how it's really tough for them. People are gonna think I'm crazy, but it's tough to, you're just stuck in mediocrity. It's a really tough cycle. Bad seasons aren't always a bad thing in football. So, yeah. Long story short, I went on a tangent. TJ Watt's my answer, just like Miles.
I think a dark horse can be Khalil Mack. He did have a 6-sack game this season. Yeah. So if he catch fire one game alone, that's a game changer right there. So. And the Chargers ain't got nothing else to play for or live for, honestly, at this point.
Live for is crazy, but yeah.
You talk about white privilege. I don't know how Brandon Staley still has a job, honestly.
Yeah. I forgot about him on the firing.
Talking about sending that hotline.
Hey, you talking about at least they know what Justin Herbert is, but you wasting good years of Justin Herbert.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You are.
We talking about by year 5, year 6, he has one playoff appearance, and in that one playoff appearance, they was up by 74 and still lost the game. Yeah, that's a terrible look. Look bad for Jay Herbo. Transitioning, we got the in-season tournament. Before I even talk about the Elite 8, I know we all had different and mixed views on the in-season tournament going into this season. What do y'all think of the in-season tournament? Do you think that it was actually good? Was it competitive? How did y'all like the in-season tournament?
I like it, honestly. I mean, it's been more competitive, except for these final games where everybody's trying to blow out the other team to get their point differential up. I didn't like that part. Hopefully they change that aspect of it and make it something different. But everything's been good. All these games, for the most part, have been very competitive. Like the Knicks, I think every game besides the Hornets game was down to the wire. And it gives like a playoff atmosphere in November and December, which is what you kind of want. And that's what the NBA really wanted, because to push out an 82-game season where it's kind of, I don't want to say stale, but you're just kind of going through the motions. That's why they made the whole rule. You got to play 65 games to qualify for All NBA, because they want these guys to start competing again and wanting to, night in and night out, play meaningful basketball. So yeah, I've loved this tournament, and I'm looking forward to next week for the final 8, because the Knicks, we made it, and we might get a chip out of this. It's not the chip I want, but it's the chip we want right now. So.
Yeah, he had to put some propaganda in there. Yeah, I think it's a success. I think, teams are playing hard. There's excitement. You have a chance at the Lakers Celtics final, which the NBA wants. I'm sure they're going to push for that. I mean, that's what you want. You know, if you're an NBA fan, and the NBA understands what ratings, what they would bring in terms of ratings to have those two teams end up being the teams that play for the first in-season tournament championship. I think that's an opportunity that they have there in front of them. But think about the matchups they have in the first round: Lakers, Suns. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know any of the other ones. Lakers Suns excites me. I think that I know the Pelicans got in. I know there's some of the teams that got in that are exciting too. But Lakers Suns is very exciting as a first round, very appealing matchup. I think Knicks Bucks is a first round matchup, I believe, right? And that's exciting as well. So you just think about the quality of play. I think the only problem they had was the teams running up the score at the end of games because guys are taking exception. You usually hold the ball and don't disrespect the game. It's the old code of conduct thing, the old baseball argument, right? The unwritten rules. So we're having a problem with that in terms of the team trying to handle the point differential, but point differential isn't going anywhere because it's the only way you can differentiate teams when they're playing the same amount of games. You could have teams with the same record. How do you do it? Strength of schedule? It has to be done through point differential. So, these coaches are going to have to get over it. These players like DeMar are going to have to get over it. If you ask me, I saw DeMar's his outrage the other day. It's really more so, but it's really misplaced. He's upset because they suck and they're a horrible basketball team and needs to get out of there. And they need to make some trades. They're a horrible team that's doing nowhere, and there's no turnaround in sight. They're soulless. So, it's just one of those things. I think it's gone really well. I think it's a good idea. I was just talking to a couple people who don't like it, but for the most part, I heard really good things from everybody. So, I'm enjoying it. Team guys are playing hard. You got LeBron playing hard in November. That's a win.
Hey, he ain't got no choice but to play hard with how that team is.
Yeah.
But on the West side, y'all let me know who y'all think is coming out of the West. So we got, you mentioned Lakers, Suns. Lakers are 2-0 so far this season against the Suns, but D-Book has not played both of those games. And then you have Kings, Pelicans. Pelicans are 2-0 against the Kings this year, but the Kings have been away for both games. Who comes out the West for y'all?
I think the Pels. Honestly, I'm gonna just say the Pels because they kind of got healthier over the last couple of days. CJ's back, Brandon Ingram, he's been working his way back and he's been balling. Same with Zion. So I think just like last year, this team was pushing for the number one seed in the West. And I think when all three of those guys are on the court, yeah, that's what it's going to be. So, and they've got good young pieces on that team too. So I think they get it done against the Kings, and then between Lakers and Suns, I want the Lakers to win that one. Nice. And then have like a Zion versus Bron semis, but we'll see. Lakers are so up and down for me that they could beat the Suns by 20 or they could lose by 30. I don't know which Lakers team we're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, if I look at the entire bracket overall, I think the Lakers with a little bit of fire under them are a really good team here. Obviously, I want to see if Vanderbilt can come back. If they can get Vanderbilt back to guard a guy like D-Book, that'll make a world of difference in that first round matchup against the Suns. And then obviously moving forward, they need a great defender there. They got to get healthier on the wings. I know the Rui was out. And I know they were playing Christie out of just emergency. So if they can get, a couple wings back, they have a really good chance in that game. People who listen to this podcast know how I feel about the Suns. All right. AD has a decided advantage down low, and their perimeter defense just isn't that great. It is not. They've been all right. They've been a pretty good defensive group. Vogel's a good defensive coach, but I still think they're going to have their issues and they're going to have their warts in games that matter. And I think these games fit that bill as well. But if I had to pick a team that I feel confident saying that could win it all, I'd probably pick the Celtics. And I hate that, and I hate Boston, but they're the most complete team. They're the most complete team of all the teams in this thing, and they've played the most consistent good basketball of all the teams involved, including the Bucks, right, who haven't been that consistent. The Knicks could easily knock them out in round one. It's a one-game playoff. The thing I like about this is the whole one-game element. Anyone can get knocked out. We really can't guess. It's like college basketball, March Madness type feel to it where anyone can get knocked out. So there really isn't a definitive answer. The Pelicans could win this thing. Like a random team like that could just win this thing. The Kings could win this. This is right up the Kings' alley. Young team, too dumb not to know know not to play hard in this thing, right? They're gonna go real hard, diving on the floor, all this. Guys get hurt. It doesn't matter. They're gonna play hard. They're young, and so they're a potential team that could easily win this thing just because it's set up for a team that's young and hungry to pull it off. But I do think it means something to teams like the Lakers and these veteran teams, and I look forward to it. I'll say Celtics number 1, Lakers number 2. I think the Lakers could win this though. I feel good about either one of those picks.
Miles, you coming out the East, you got the Celtics, or are we talking about bing bong Lakers Knicks?
Wouldn't that be something?
It would be something. I think the Knicks, they do have a good chance. Like we're talking about, like Greg said, 1-game playoff. It's basically game 7s the rest of the way. So winner moves on, loser goes home. I think if Jaylen keeps playing the way he's been playing the last few weeks and carries this team, and then as long as Randall can sort of play the way he's been playing, I think we got a good shot. I'll take the Knicks over everybody.
As you should. For me, I just don't, as a Lakers fan, I don't believe in the Lakers. They too inconsistent. So for me, I think you're going to see something like, it might be really Suns Celtics, I think. It's going to be Suns Celtics, and Celtics are going to win it. They've been the most consistent team all year. Drew Holiday, Derek White. That first round, it's going to be good. That first game against high scoring, no defense playing, Indiana and Pacers. But I think Derek White, Drew Holiday going to have something for Tyrese Halliburton. Shout out to Bruce Brown getting that contract because it's been real mediocre. It's looking like Brooklyn Bruce Brown, not
he was good. He was good in Brooklyn. I liked him in Brooklyn.
Well, I was about to say, I thought he was good in Brooklyn too.
Yeah, he was good.
He's acting different.
That's what I'm saying. No, he's playing good, but for that money,
yeah.
No,
he was never going to live up to that contract. And
like, shout out to his agent, but you supposed to be playing more than good. Like, it shouldn't be games where you forget Bruce Brown is on the court and you got Obi Toppin having better stats than him some games. Like, it's weird. That's weird over there. But yeah, I see Suns, Celtics. That's how I see it coming out. Celtics gonna win it all. And honestly, super early, but Celtics might. Which, as a Lakers fan, I actually am disgusted that I'm saying this, but they stay healthy. They probably win it all this year. No cap. I know the Lakers had some injuries, but
who you talking about the Suns?
Celtics gonna win it all.
Oh yeah, Celtics. Yeah.
Lakers had some injuries, but even then, they'll come back.
There is the Jason Tatum wild card aspect of this, where Jason Tatum chooses to take every other night off, or one out of every 2 nights off, where he just doesn't play well. I don't know what it is. Maybe because he's light skinned. I don't know what it is, but he does that, and so you have to take that into account when you're talking about that team, because he's their best player. So with him, he could easily just choose to not show up. I don't know. So you just, and we all know what I'm talking about. Jason Tatum, he's the most inconsistent, really, really good player in the NBA, or one of them anyways, AD being number 1. But he's one of them. He's certainly in the conversation. Joel Embiid over there too, right? He's in that conversation. So I take that into account when I talk about the Celtics, but even with that being the case, they should still win. And if they don't, it's an indictment on him at this point. We're at the point in his career where we can hold him accountable for that kind of stuff.
100% right on that regard. You speaking of the Lakers, and you mentioned Anthony Davis and his inconsistency. The battle of LA, the battle of mediocrity. Who will be the worst team in LA? They really are trying to compete and trying to get that title of being the worst team out of Los Angeles. Since the Clippers have gotten James Harden, they are 4-7. James Harden, you get a good game here, you get a bad game there where he's completely not relevant. Stat that I found real interesting about the Clippers, and then y'all let me know what can be done what do y'all see that could possibly help the Clippers? 40% of their field goals made are unassisted. They do not move the ball at all. And 40% of those field goals that are made that are unassisted, 25% of those are 3-pointers. So not only are they not moving a rock, but when they decide to take their ISO jumpers, 25% of them are 3-pointers. Is there any way that the Clippers can be fixed?
No. It's not Ty Lue's fault. You know, I hope they fire him. I don't know if anyone will lose their job, but a great coach like that being available is just good for everybody else. So I would love to see him go somewhere else. And I think he'd love to go somewhere else. Having to coach James Harden in the twilight years of his career, I call it the Twinkie stage of his career because he's got his hands in a pack of Twinkies probably all the time. But when you talk about where he's at right now, the graphics are out there. I'm sure, Tony, I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure, Miles, you've seen it, where it says that all of his points are coming behind the 3-point line, and he's not attacking. He's not at the rim. None of his points are at the rim. And it's steadily declined over the years until the point where we are now. So we talk about, you know, his lack of aggression going to the rim. It's because he's lost a step. And it's happened. It really fell off a cliff in Brooklyn in that year where he decided he wanted to leave. And that's where it started. And I noticed it then. And, you know, he just hasn't been the same since. And it happened before his whole hamstring off the bone situation. Maybe it was after. I can't even really remember. Those years are all a blur, and it's a nightmare in my life. But either way, I don't know if it's correlated to the injury, but I do know that it happened. And I know that, you know, with him being at your point guard position, you're not putting any pressure on the rim. You're not getting guys open shots. You're not making the lives of other guys very easy. They actually almost be better off playing Russell Westbrook. It's hard for me to say that, you know, because we all know, you know, if we go type in Russell Westbrook lowlights on YouTube, you're gonna see some stuff you ain't never seen before from a pro basketball player. At the same time, he's been solid. I gotta say that because Tone don't like when I talk about that. You see Tone's face. Tone don't like when I talk about him that way. He's been solid, and the fans gotta stop wilding out. Stop calling him all types of, you know, animal names in the crowd. Don't do that. That ain't right. They wilding. You know that's what they said, Miles. But he didn't want to say it to them. You know what they called them. You know what it was. But in all seriousness, though, I'm having fun. In all seriousness, it's just the construction of the team. You know, having him as your star point guard, you know, to facilitate and lead the group isn't ideal. And as talented as PG and Kawhi are, you know, it's just not going to work. Okay, it's hard to play to win games when your point guard isn't getting to the rim and distributing the basketball and driving and kicking. You know, just from a basketball perspective, it doesn't work. So, yeah, I have my concerns about them, and I don't think it's going anywhere. I think that they're going to be okay, but they're not scary. They don't put fear in anybody. You know what I mean? And you don't scheme that up. You don't scheme explosiveness into your point guard. So it's really about James Harden, if you ask me. It's actually not about Russ. People will make it about him because he's fun to pick on, but it's not him.
Yeah, Harden said he needed 10 games. And his 11th game, 11 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 turnovers.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Everybody thought that, all right, just because we can do it, it's a good idea. Like, no, they were playing just fine with Russ and Kawhi and Paul George as that semi-big three. Like, I don't think they needed James Harden. I don't know if they were even watching him play last year or the year before to know that he had lost a step and he's not the same Harden that we saw in Houston. So, yeah, I'm happy because they're going to blow it up and maybe the Knicks can make a trade or get Kawhi or Paul George at some point and bring him in. But, yeah, it's not looking good for that side of LA.
Ballmer's a stubborn guy. I think he's going to try to hold on to, you know, a couple of those star players as he goes into the new building. He wants to sell tickets. You know, he talked about that place like it's NASA or something like that. NASA headquarters. So
you better be checking everybody for a wire. They're gonna get him out of here like the last guy.
Yeah, he should have never made that move for James. I hope if they resign him, they're screwed for a very long time. So I mean like for like a multi-year deal. So we'll see what happens. You know that's what he wants. but he's not the smartest guy in the room, clearly.
On the flip side, looking at the Lakers, obviously they won tonight, blowout game, but it was the Pistons. They handled business. But at the same time, the Lakers don't always beat who they're supposed to beat. So I guess you got to celebrate this game. D'Lo played extremely well. AD actually showed up. Now, one of the issues with them is that they are one of the worst with a team that has Anthony Davis. They are second to last when it comes to opponents' offensive rebounding. So the opponents get busy on the boards.
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers don't. They give up the second most second chance points at 18 points per game. Now it's been rumored Lakers in the conversation for Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso. Do any of them help actually elevate the Lakers to championship status? And they already said, the Bulls said any trade that they do, they want Lemon Daddy. They want Austin Reeves, a.k.a. Lemon Daddy.
Miles, what you gonna say? Miles, you got an answer? You got an answer? Because
I mean, if they can get Caruso back,
yeah,
I don't mind the trade. Like, if Caruso's included in the DeMar DeRozan trade, fine. Give up what you have to give, because I think that DeRozan fits well alongside LeBron, and he can be a secondary playmaker, and he's kind of been a proven scorer off the ball and in his role. And then Caruso, I mean, he should have never left LA to begin with. That was their fault. So maybe they can, correct their mistakes and bring him back, because I think him alongside LeBron was always a good fit. And Reeves was always kind of like Caruso light. So I think if you bring Caruso back, it adds a different element. And I think Caruso's a better defender too. So that helps your defense alongside LeBron and AD. So yeah, the main piece I feel like to get out of this trade is Caruso.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, he's the guy who would help you be a winner. He's a winner. Like the way he plays, the great defense, understands rotation. I mean, I can nerd out over this. He's a great player, great role player. He should have never left, like Miles said, and that's exactly what I had in mind. Losing Reeves hurts. I do think Reeves provides more offensively than he does, but certainly not even close defensively in terms of what Caruso can do. And I'd argue that they need toughness. They need guys that can get in there, get some rebounds, get timely rebounds, take timely charges, get in passing lanes, strategically know where to be and when to be there, know how to take calculated risks on defense. That's him. He's gonna make all the right plays. Get on the floor for loose balls. The Lakers are they're just too nice of a team right now. They don't have any tough guys really. That's why they need Vando back. They need some edge. I think Caruso gives them that edge too. So if they can get Caruso, and I heard the rumor that it's him and DeMar packaged together, I think you have a good chance moving forward. And it softens the blow of losing Austin Reeves if you can get DeMar DeRozan in that trade as well. So they should be aggressive there, but not overly aggressive. In this pursuit, I think the Lakers are still solid as currently constructed and can make a smaller move to make themselves really good, but they have a chance to compete for a championship. It comes down to AD. I just think we gotta put ourselves in. The Lakers gotta put themselves in. I say we, like I'm in the front office. Lakers gotta put themselves in position to take pressure off of Anthony Davis when it matters. It's gonna come down to that. You can't rely on that guy for big performances every night, as we know, and that's why the Zach trade was interesting, because it helps offensively. But if you can get DeMar and Caruso, DeMar helps that as well. So I really like the DeMar and Caruso pairing better than Zach. I'm moving off the Zach thing. After seeing Zach, he has some bad habits that are going to be harder to get out of him if you're trying to win a championship, in my opinion. So I just that's the way I see it. I was all aboard the Zach wagon. You know how I felt, but you watch enough basketball, you learn. You figure it out. It's tough to watch Chicago play. I watched them last week. It's a joke. And Zach's pulling up for contested jump shots. It's just really bad. It's just really, really bad. He so doesn't want to be there, and they can't keep him. And they're going to take way less than what we expect for a guy of his talent level. that trade's going to be lopsided. They're going to have to get rid of him because of the contract. And so I just don't know where he ends up and who takes him, and they may be stuck with him. But yeah, I would go DeMar. I'd go Caruso if I were them. I'd try to make it happen. Max Christie, Austin Reeves, Roy Uchamar, and maybe a first if you can trade a first for those two guys. I'd do it. Gives you a chance.
And those are 2 expiring contracts too, by the way, DeMar and Caruso. This is the last year of the deal. So
they have value. So then the Lakers will have competition. Austin Reeves has to be involved. They're going to make that trade.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, you open up more money for making a splash next year, maybe.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, Austin Reeves would be great in Chicago. They love, they guns. AR-15, yeah. Austin Reeves would be a god over there. AR-15 in the building. That'd probably be the most sold jersey after Jordan in Chicago. Like, he would do very well there. He already got a little poster board over here in LA, Lemon Daddy. Imagine what his billboard would be in Chicago. AR-15 with a gun, you feel me? Holding an AR.
Oh my God!
You know, Austin Reeves at the gun club.
Imagine a poster of him in like the middle of Chicago, and it says "Keep killing it, guys."
Yeah, this is crazy. Y'all turn Austin Reeves into Tommy from Power. This is nuts.
Keep killing it, guys.
It's a black silhouette with the target symbol around that. Yo, and it's also Reeves smiling with it. Oh, this has gone dark. Are we live, yo? Sure, we gotta end the podcast, bro.
We're gonna end off with this, right? So this year, the point guards have been point guard and they have been performing at an all-time high level. Star bench cut.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, SGA.
That's stupid.
Oh, Tyrese easily right now.
Tyrese easily right now.
I think so.
SGA going crazy too, though. But
He's going crazy, but that's a better team. And look what Tyrese has got the Pacers playing.
Yeah. I agree, actually. I agree. I'm with you. Keep going. I want to cut you off.
So what was it? Start, bench, cut. I would start Tyrese, bench Shea, and then cut
De'Aaron.
Yep.
Me too. No, me too. I would do that too. And you can make a case that SGA should be starting, but I think that I do think Miles is right. So I'm gonna go start Halliburton, bench my man. What's his name? Shea
SGA.
And SGA, and then cut De'Aaron. I'll cut De'Aaron. That's all right. I can do that.
So it's safe to say
of the three, he's the worst player. Just so you know, of the three of them, De'Aaron Fox is the worst player.
So I'm safe to say y'all believe that the Pacers won that trade of getting Tyrese.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like, I see it a lot where they're saying it was a fair trade both ways, and I agree because Sabonis is really good. Like he's one of the top 5 power forwards in the league, I think. So you don't ever see that happen that often where you get 2 players that get exchanged in a trade and it kind of works out for both teams. But yeah, if anything, Tyrese is showing that he's like a top 3 point guard in the league right now.
Hey, De'Aaron Fox has been bowling as of late too. Over the last 6 games, he's averaging around 33, 10, and 6, just to show him some love. And you mentioned how bad Chicago was playing. But there's a team playing even worse. Over the last 5 days, the Atlanta Hawks have allowed 523 points. Just throwing it out there. Quinn Snyder, he might be a coach in the NBA on a hot seat. 523 points in 5 days is absolutely
insane.
Disgusting work.
It's insane.
It's like they're competing. It's like they heard Pacers don't play D. Nah, we're gonna show you really not playing D. 523 points. They not standing on business. But y'all know on Bench Mob Ent, we stand on business. We stay ready, so we don't got to get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.
Peace.